And now the French teammates giving that recognizable French support as Jean MEDARD, the 17-year-old, starts his free skate to the music creep.
The body movement at the end for Jean MEDARD from France, choreographer Nina Haddad.
You know what my thought was here, Mark? I wondered, you know, he came out on the ice to hear the scores of the skater before him. It looked like he had this adrenaline push and that he was rushing and trying to chase, not the score, but trying to chase into his program. And so sometimes those external things that you don't practice with every day, you don't hear the score of your competitor every day, all of a sudden can affect you, both physically and psychologically. And I don't know whether that actually happened, but it looked like it did.
Yeah, and certainly Jean MEDARD looked so strong as an adult. And, you know, we men, we have pride, we have ego, and it's hard to then, you know, this morning in practice see a skater alongside you doing jumping passes that you know is going to be very difficult to beat. And I've experienced that. I've been at competitions where I know in practice that my competitors are going to beat me, and that's tricky in itself because you can't make the change on site. So Jean MEDARD couldn't suddenly, as much as he wants to, put a quad lutz in his program.
Yeah, and you know what? It's good for athletes, for those young athletes listening to this broadcast. It's really good for you to be able to assess when you go to a competition, you watch the other practice sessions that you might be on one of those. You take a look at the competition and say, okay, that one probably is a little bit better than I am. That one, no, I can beat that one. Okay, just because it's not anything to do with the end result. It's to do with you assessing where you are at against the rest of the field. And you have to look at the rest of the field to understand. And so it's a good thing to do. Now, it's another thing, it's another skill that you have to learn as a competitor, is to cope with those external things and not let them drive you. You have to drive your own bus, but information's important to be able to do that well.
Yeah, and ultimately you have to. It's such a tricky dichotomy because you can only control your own output, and at an event you can't make changes. You have to try to deliver what you've done best in practice.
But you want to learn from the event, and so you got to watch it, right? So yeah.
So the hope is that despite any disappointment that Jean Médard has, and as his coach Emily Telemac explains in the Kissing Crowd what needs to be done, that they take that and then they go back and then they ensure that the training is motivated such that the improvements are visible, evident, and obvious.
It's one of the things I always thought in our sport that I'm not sure coaches, I don't know if this is right or wrong, but I don't think all the coaches do this, is video analysis. And I don't mean of a jump, because in hockey or football or baseball or rugby or cricket or whatever, you analyze your competition by looking at the video. Okay, now to develop strategies, I get it. But if you don't analyze your competition in this sport, then you don't know what the distance is between you and them until you get into the competition. Then you go, oh, well, I was 20 points behind. But you can find that out maybe 6 months ahead, so you can narrow that 20 points behind. But you have to study the sport.
Which is what made Ilya Malin so amazing, is he did things other people didn't expect possible.
Exactly.
Jean Médard, 98.42.
Yeah, the 6th place in the free program with a 153.46. That'll put Jean currently overall into 5th place.